Comic-Con was one of the biggest events, comic events ever. It was filled with a bunch of what comic books. You got a lot of information, a lot of new comics. You got to meet some of your favorite writers and all this other stuff. It was really big. It was really popular. Every year, people ran to go to it and spent a lot of money and camped out and all this sort of stuff. Over the years, it has become more, diluted and not so much about comic books anymore. It's become more about movies and TV shows, and it's so other people. I mean, nothing wrong with that if it's connected to comics, but you started to see more and more people coming there basically from like other genres and other things that really had nothing to do with comics. But ever since the pandemic, there has been no Comic-Con because of COVID. We know the situation with that and all of it. So Comic-Con is coming back, and surprise, surprise to literally nobody, DC Comics won't be there. From Cosmic Book News, Warner Brothers Discovery drops DC Comics from Comic-Con floor. For the first time, WB and DC will not have a presence on the convention floor, said to be due to David Zaslav making big changes. Warner Brothers Discovery has decided to drop DC Comics from the floor of the San Diego Comic-Con. The Hollywood Reporter reports Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav is making big changes to the company's approach to Comic-Con, which will see for the first time WB and DC not having a presence on the convention floor. Over the years, I have attended. Well, this is the article. The person who wrote the article speaking here. I have attended various conventions, including the New York City and San Diego Comic Con, and WB and DC put on quite a display, with booths for the comics and movies where fans were able to meet various creators, get their comics signed, check out movie costumes, etc. Well, that's all gone. The Warner Brothers Discovery official press release about the DC plans did mention 5 panels for DC Comics. Jim Lee and friends, join world-renowned comic book artist and DC publisher and chief creative officer Jim Lee in this can't-miss panel featuring some of his comic book colleagues. Well, there might probably be his last time there with the crap DC is putting out, to talk with them about some of the top secret comic books coming from DC, special guests and surprises. Girl, I'll be surprised if anybody shows up for that. Gotham, Dark Crisis. Well, look, Dark Crisis is an event DC put on that DC itself doesn't even understand what the hell it's doing. So I don't know who they're trying to fool. Tom Taylor and Tom King in convention. Nobody's going to that. Nobody. Comics are fun for everyone. Well, so here's some of the images from previous conventions. Here we have Superman, Batman, there, big display. Here, artists and everything here, Justice League and all of that. Jim Lee and some others, more Justice League and stuff here, Birds of Prey. DC put on a horrible movie, all of this big convention that DC usually puts out, and there's a lot to try and sell their brand and push the target along. But let's be honest here for a moment. Let's be honest here. Warner Brothers Discovery is showing quite clearly, and to be honest with you, they're quite right for that they don't know nor care what to do with DC Comics, because DC Comics is not making any sense anymore. The only revenue that DC Comics makes is from Batman, and they're trying to destroy that character. They are actually trying to destroy Batman. They don't make good comics anymore. They don't make interesting comics anymore. And there are people who will say that, the dynamic and the whole history and everything involved with comics and thing, and the comic industry has changed, and the geek culture has changed, and people are no longer interested in comics and all that stuff. I mean, people love manga. They love manga. But DC and Marvel have become, the big two have become so utterly irrelevant, because for a long time DC was trying to hold out while Marvel was going down a road of, swapping their characters, putting a lot of woke and politics and all kind of nonsense in the books, and it just wasn't working. Now DC is pushing that harder than ever, to the point where they have become completely irrelevant. So seeing that DC has dropped is because they're not putting out anything of any kind of value. Now people will say, okay, it's a big company, Warner Brothers Discovery, which Discovery is the more important one of the other, because Discovery took over and all of that. That they're focusing on other stuff, like, movies and TV shows and this kind of stuff, and cartoons. But I mean, come on. You are not really putting out anything of quality there. I mean, yes, the last Batman movie that came out, I watched it, I did a review for it. I rather like the movie, okay. What do we have coming out from them? We have this whole controversy with the Flash movie. I mean, they got rid of Ezra Miller as the Flash, and yet he continues to cause trouble. The Shazam movie, I mean, okay, they put out, they have a Black Adam movie coming out and a Shazam movie coming out, where instead Black Adam should have been the villain in Shazam movie. I mean, I didn't really like the first Shazam movie at all. I think the second one is going to be even more nonsense. And for the Black Adam movie, I don't think it looks very good at all. I really don't think it looks very good at all. As for their so-called, TV series and, animated TV series, it's not good. I mean, at the moment, I currently am doing a review of season 4 of Young Justice. Be sure to check out those videos. It was a horrible season. Spoiler, it was a horrible season. It took everything that was good about Young Justice and just flushed it down the woke toilet. You are not producing quality entertainment. And people will say that, the comic book industry is probably gone forever and DC and Marvel can't recover. Maybe that's true, maybe not. I think the only chance that DC has to recover is to completely obliterate their universe and start over. But I think there is still a market for comics. There's still a market for those good stories, because manga does it as well. Manga produces excellent stories that people want to read and are interested in. You all don't. You don't produce that because you're too caught up pushing the woke game, and hoping that everybody eventually learns to love the garbage that you are putting out. And if they don't, well, they're clearly, they're clearly bigots or homophobes, whatever. You can't keep sexuality swapping your characters. I figured that is all you need to do to produce anything. This is what's going to happen, because I think really, when it boils down to, when it comes to this, Warner Brothers knew nobody gives a crap about DC Comics anymore, because they just make nonsense now. So why spend money to put out anything that people are going to be interested in? What exactly are they giving us instead? Jim Lee and Friends, probably 5 people might show up for that. Gotham, Dark Crisis, an event they don't understand. They can't produce properly, and they don't know what the hell they're doing with it. Tom Taylor and Tom King, Tom Taylor has become the worst Superman writer in history. Tom King's run on Batman was hated by pretty much everyone. Now you have comics are fun for everyone. Well, clearly your comics aren't fun for everyone, because you're not going to the convention. They're not going to spend any money on you, because they know for a fact nobody gives a bloody crap about DC Comics' continued descent into their own stupid, baseless black hole of crap. I understand things are changing. I understand with the pandemic things have changed on the other, and I understand that entertainment is changing, and there are people who may say that the comic book industry is changed forever and gone, one than the other. I don't agree. I think there is still a market for comic book fans that want to read good stories. This is why I say to any and all creators, or if you have a good idea for a comic book series, do it. Bite the bullet, put it out there, because the hardest thing to do is to start. DC, Marvel are showing you exactly that they don't care anymore about putting out good stories, especially DC, because they have been dropped from Comic-Con. Put out your stories, create your characters, build your worlds, do things. People want to read good stories, they want to read good characters, and from there they could go on to be good TV shows, good movies. As long as they don't give it the woke Hollywood treatment, it could be good. So if you are a creator out there and you're listening and you're watching this video, listen to me. Put your work out there, create your comic books. If you have an idea, create it. Because DC is one of the big two, and nobody wants that shit at all. San Diego Comic-Con, no DC. If you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell. Be notified every time I put out a new video. I shall see you all next time. And next time DC still won't be at San Diego Comic-Con, but you get what you deserve for putting out rubbish. Later.